My name is Dr. James Weiner. I'm director of the Weiner Wellness Center. We're located at 2419 Baldwick Road, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, 15205. Our phone number, 412-922-WELL or 412-922-9355. Our website, drweiner.com. Okay, today we're going to talk about neurological problems. It's a vast subject, and really I could do a whole week on it. So we're just going to touch on a few concepts. We gave you the soda pop article, correct?
Yes.
We gave you the article on aspartame.
Yes.
We gave you an article on diet soda that contains aspartame.
Diet soda. Oh, that's the worst.
And what you have to understand is a lot of people are digging their graves with their teeth.
They surely are.
Quiet, this is not responsive reading in a church. Somebody say amen.
Amen.
Okay. Anyhow, so what we have is someone's chewing gum right there, I think. Are you chewing gum? Okay, just chewing his tongue. All right. So if you chew gum, most of it has aspartame in it, unless you get the natural stuff here. If you're drinking soda pop, that leaches out minerals from your body. Of course, it has caffeine. And a lot of it is diet soda, which has aspartame also. Aspartame is a nerve poison. What we've done is Xerox a couple pages for you, talk about some of the neurological effects of aspartame. There's also a wonderful movie on youtube.com, youtube.com. Sweet Misery. It's called Sweet Misery, and it has neurologists, including Dr. Blaylock, talking about how people are getting neurological tumors, cancer, multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's from aspartame. Anyone here on antacids? I just had a patient in today. It's been a patient of mine since the early days. We're reminiscing about 30 years ago when I opened the practice. And the place didn't look too good, the place in Southside. And he was there probably the first month I opened up. Well, now he's having muscle pains all over. He went to a colleague of mine who carries some of our nutritional products, and he hasn't gotten any relief with all the treatments and everything. And I said, you're on Prilosec, and he's also on Miralax. Anyone on Miralax? These two drugs, among many, stop the absorption of minerals. And if you don't have minerals, one of the side effects is muscle pain. Now, the other doctor didn't address that. So he's on Prilosec, that stops your digestion. He's on Miralax as a laxative, and that interferes with the absorption of minerals. Also, Miralax has antifreeze in it. So your medications may be a factor. Now, we're not telling you to get off your medications, but in many cases, your medications may be causing vitamin mineral depletion. Anyone on cholesterol medication like statin drugs? Yeah. Statin drugs cause neurological problems because you need coenzyme Q10. Here's some of the side effects of the cholesterol medications. The number one, congestive heart failure. Congestive heart failure can be caused by taking cholesterol medication, which you thought was going to protect your heart. Also can cause sugar diabetes mellitus, muscle pain and wasting, liver failure, Alzheimer's disease, where you don't know who you are, cancer. These are just some of the side effects. Now, we have our natural Cholesto Care. We've come out with a new improved formula. And we're going to talk about some supplements. And anyone that's on cholesterol medication must be on coenzyme Q10. Are you on coenzyme Q10? All right, now you know the vast majority of people who have heart attacks have normal or low cholesterol. So cholesterol is totally overrated as a risk factor for heart disease. Anyone on diuretics for blood pressure? Hydrochlorothiazide. These wash out minerals. These can cause diabetes. These can cause muscle pain and weakness. Okay? So a lot of people are very deficient in nutrients. Now, I didn't pass out every single thing. Here, we need you to come up. You're the ear cancer guy, right? Yeah. All right, hold on. We got to get him on tape. Uh-oh, it looks like you need some assisting with walking now.
I'm on tape.
Okay, hold on. This guy, I want you to see his ear. we got to take a picture. And Chuck, can you bring the before picture? He came in here, this man came in here October 2nd, is that correct?
Yeah.
You came in here October 2nd. You have this huge tumor in your ear. We're going to show it here. Here, this is you, right? October 2nd on the top picture?
Yeah.
That's you?
Yeah, that's me.
Okay. Here, come over here. Come over here. We got to get him.
Actually, you have about 3 or 4 pictures of me.
Well, yeah, but this is the picture of the first day, October 2nd. He came in here. He didn't have an appointment. He was here during the Wider Wellness Week in October. Can you see that picture? Can you zoom in on that, Jerry?
How long
Okay.
did it take for it to get to that size?
Okay, well, in 2 months, the tumor was gone.
A long time.
We have a picture down there. Okay, now, we're going to take a picture of you right now. So you're looking pretty good, right?
Yeah.
All right, so what we got to do is take a picture of this, because this is exciting. We wondered how you're doing. Now, you're having trouble walking.
Well, yeah, I've had that for years.
Well, we need to see if we can help you with that.
Okay.
All right, what I want to do is we're going to take a picture today. And then I think I'm going to make it bigger so I get the ear itself. Okay, so I hope everyone can see this. And here he is today. All right, so I'll tell you what. After my talk, if you have a couple minutes, maybe Jerry, our videographer,
I'll
can
be
interview you. Okay, thanks a lot.
Okay.
Thanks a lot for coming over. All right, so now, how many people go to medical doctors here? Let me see a show of hands. Don't be shy. I'm not going to shoot a gun at you. All right.
No way.
Now, here's what happened a couple weeks ago. Some guy that graduated from osteopathic school about a year ago, or 2 years ago, I don't know, very recently, found me on the radio, and he started posting about my radio program as a joke to his medical school buddies. And so we've been having quite an interesting conversation back and forth the last few weeks. They've called me every name in the book, including a lot of 4-letter words that I can't mention. And of course, they say that what we're diverting people from effective medical care. And I can tell you, most of the people that come here have already gone through the medical model
That's right.
and failed, or actually their problems were created or worsened by the medicines, and then they come here, like this guy. He did not have an appointment. He walked in. Isn't your name Ron? Isn't it Ron? Ron. Okay, Ron came in here October 2nd. I was in with a patient. Mikey G knocked on my door, said, you got to see this guy. He allowed me to take a picture. I said, you want to get well? He said, yeah. I wrote down what to do. And you can see the thing is 99% gone now. I mean, he has a little redness in there, and that's it. Okay? Now, what would the medical community have done? They would have chopped his ear off and probably ground on the inside of the ear. He would have had balance problems. He wouldn't be able to hear. He'd be deformed, so he'd kind of be embarrassed walking around without an ear.
Yeah.
So anyhow, we're talking about neurological problems. How many people are on what we call psychotropic drugs, like antidepressants or anti-anxiety drugs? Anyone here want to admit to that? Now, there's a wonderful video on YouTube. It is the 13-minute expose on antidepressants done by Leslie Stahl and 60 Minutes, where they interviewed a medical researcher from Harvard University, a medical researcher from Brown University, and then experts in the United Kingdom. And what they found out is antidepressants do not work any more than placebo for people with mild to moderate depression. Of course, there's a lot of side effects, including suicide. So in the United Kingdom, England, Scotland, Wales, they no longer prescribe antidepressants for mild to moderate depression. Here in the United States, it's like an $11 billion business.
Money.
And what they found is that it doesn't work any better than taking a sugar pill. But there's a lot of side effects. Now, this researcher also found that with knee surgery, they did fake knee surgery. They had one group of people, they actually did the knee surgery. The other ones, they just cut the skin and then sewed them up. And the people that did not have the real knee surgery actually were better off in 12 weeks than the people who had the knee surgery. It's on YouTube. Look up It's called 60 Minutes, Leslie Stahl, S-T-A-H-L, The Placebo Effect, P-L-A-C-E-B-O. All right, now, we're lucky that we have a few practitioners who are using natural approaches for mental, emotional, and neurological problems. Of course, some of them right here in this building at the Weiner Wellness Center. And what we're trying to do is figure out the causation. That's one of the problems I'm having with these young medical students and medical doctors on this Facebook page. They don't seem to understand what we need to do is figure out the causation of problems, and then we can correct the cause rather than treating symptoms. You know, Americans are only about 4 or 5% of the world's population. We are consuming 75% of the world's drugs, and we're 72nd in health. So our system's not working. This paradigm, this model is not working. But most people are still wedded to it. They believe in their medical doctors. They have them on a pedestal. They think they've got all the knowledge. They're like God. Some people treat them like gods. Some of the doctors act like God. Well, as if they were God. I think God's probably pretty humble, but they get pretty arrogant. And as a friend of mine told me years ago, their ignorance is only superseded by their arrogance. Now, there are some medical doctors that think our way. Jamie and I spent 4 days at the International Health Symposium in New York a couple weeks ago. Braved the minus 0 temperatures. It was pretty cold up there. And I would say about 80 to 90% of the attendees were medical doctors. So there are some that are using nutrition, looking for causation of illness, et cetera. But in our area, there aren't too many. Okay, so we talked about some of the risk factors. If you're drinking soda pop, if you're drinking diet soda, if you're using aspartame, a lot of diabetics are on aspartame. Okay, if you're not getting enough minerals, maybe you're not eating enough fruits and vegetables, or maybe you're on these medications I mentioned that are stopping the absorption of minerals. So one of the things I didn't give you is frontier minerals. Frontier minerals would be a good thing for neurological and musculoskeletal problems and even brain problems. Another one that I didn't give you information on was Super B Complete. And we have the best absorbed forms of those nutrients in Super B Complete. So not all B vitamins are made equal. In fact, some of you may have seen in the news lately, it's coming to the fore that a lot of supplements don't even contain what's on the label. And that's why we started the health store, so we would get products from the best manufacturers that do have in it what is listed on the label. And they, this one article in New York State, they found that Target, Walmart, Walgreens, and GNC had products that did not have the ingredients in the bottle that were listed on the label. That's why it upsets me when people come here, we put them on a program, and then they run out, instead of calling us or coming in or ordering on our website, they go somewhere else. And I got a letter last week from a guy who did just that. He was on our Super Cal Plus, and he was running low, and he and his wife went to Sam's Club, and they had a sale on, that's not why they went there, but they happened to see that there was a sale on their calcium pill. And he bought a couple bottles, he went home, and then he looked at the label and found out there was propylene glycol and propylethylene glycol antifreeze in the calcium pill. So he looked it up, found out how dangerous it was. He found out it's also in Miralax. That's why I mentioned that. He said, well, I've heard you for years saying that on the radio, and now I realize you're right. Not all supplements are created equal, and that's what was listed on the label. As I say, a lot of these companies have good ingredients listed on the label, and they're not even in the product. So we put together this Brain Solutions. Here. Brain and Mood Solutions. All right, the brain boost and IQity. Anyone know of anyone that has Alzheimer's disease or memory problems? Okay. We've had phenomenal results with taking Brain Boost and IQity, and we gave you separate flyers on both of those. And then we know that fish oil can help with brain function and neurologic function, as well as lower cholesterol and improve blood flow. And as Joe has pointed out this week in his talks, that Fish oil does not thin the blood. It just improves the viscosity or flow of the blood. And in fact, researchers are finding that it's totally safe to take right before operations, and especially after operations. It actually speeds up the healing and does not cause bleeding. So that's a misconception that fish oils actually cause bleeding. However, not all fish oils are created equal. You know that the lakes, the rivers, the streams, the oceans are polluted. And so the fish are polluted and their oil is polluted. So there's a 6-step distillation process that must take place to take the PCP, lead, mercury, etc. out of the fish oil. And many of the fish oils are very contaminated. We have an article by the food table there on that spindle about various companies that were selling contaminated fish oil. So if you're going to get fish oil, I recommend you get ours, either Nutritional Frontiers or one of the other manufacturers we carry here. All right, so we know this can help with attention deficit, this can help with autism, can help with Alzheimer's disease, so fish oil. So these are 3 of the main products that we recommend. But we have others. I'm not sure if I passed out about the Calm Day. Did you get the thing on the Calm Day? You got that? Okay. We have the Calm Day, which is a stress reliever. We also have Mood Lift and Sleep Time. Now with Mood Lift and Sleep Time, if you're on what's called an SSRI, we might not recommend those 2 products because they compete for the same receptor sites in the brain because of the 5-HTP tryptophan. So that's in the Mood Lift and I believe the Sleep Time. But we didn't give you information on that. I mean, how much information can we give you? I'm hoping you do look at what we do give you. Now, Parkinson's. You know anyone with Parkinson's or multiple sclerosis?
Yes.
Okay, Parkinson's, we have a product called Power, I think it's the Power Q600. It's coenzyme Q, 300 milligrams, and dimethylglycine, 300 milligrams. Dimethylglycine is what's called a methylator that helps to detox the brain and the body. And we've had very good results with that product. So it says 600, but what you have is 300 milligrams of coenzyme Q10 and 300 milligrams of dimethylglycine. So for people with neurological problems, that's not on this flyer, but it's the Power Q600, 300 milligrams of CoQ, 300 milligrams of dimethylglycine. Also, as I mentioned before, the Frontier Minerals and the Super B Complete are not listed there. Frontier Minerals and Super B Complete. Now, you know, you're going to hear from medical doctors a very common misconception. They're going to say you get all the nutrients you need from the food. Well, there's a couple factors that belie that, and that, number one, we've lost up to 80% of the nutritional value of our produce. We now have genetically modified food, which is illegal in 44 countries, but allowed here and not even labeled. And then your digestion might be impaired, either by medications, like I mentioned, the antacids, et cetera, laxatives, or maybe as you get older, you just don't digest your food well. I'm 68 years old. I carry Zyme with me in the car. I went to a restaurant last night. I took my Zyme. CYBZYME. It's a digestive enzyme, and we've just improved that product so it has a digestive enzyme to digest gluten for those of you that might think you're gluten intolerant. It's called CYBZYME. Anyone over the age of 40 should be on a digestive enzyme to make sure you're digesting your food. So for those reasons, people are not absorbing the nutrients they need. You have to understand that medical doctors do not take any formal nutrition classes in medical school. So they're like the last person. You'd be better off asking a 6-year-old or asking your dog or cat. I see you got a cat shirt on there. Yeah. Because they don't learn anything about nutrition. See, you don't understand what they don't know. You just assume, well, they're a good person to ask about these things. Just like carpal tunnel, one of the battles I'm having with these doctors is how we correct carpal tunnel. Most carpal tunnel is not carpal tunnel. I know that sounds like something Yogi Berra would say. The carpal area is the wrist, but most of the time when people have pain, tingling, numbness in the wrist or the hand, it's not coming from there. It's coming from tight muscles in the forearm, the chest, the neck, or misaligned vertebrae in the neck. And that's why we have virtually 100% success in correcting so-called carpal tunnel, sometimes in a matter of 1 or 2 or 3 visits. For the 5% that do have a wrist problem, it's usually one of the bones misaligned. Carpal tunnel surgery is the most commonly performed surgery in the United States. It fails 95% of the time. Why are they doing it? Because they get paid for it. In England, they don't perform it. You know why? Because the doctors are on salary and they know it's a useless procedure. Because most of the time it's not coming from the wrist. So cutting open the wrist does nothing to correct a misaligned vertebrae or tight muscles in the throat that are squeezing the nerves that go to your hands, or repetitive strain that you have because your forearm muscles are tight. So we work on the causation of problems. So if someone has multiple sclerosis, it has been found that vitamin D3 is very useful. And most people are very deficient in vitamin D3. Now, this is something that recently, in the last 5, 6 years, medical doctors are learning about this in their medical journals, that most people are very deficient in vitamin D3. This also enhances the immune system. We put all our cancer patients on vitamin D3. But definitely, if someone has neurological problems, including multiple sclerosis, they should be on at least 5 or 10,000 units of vitamin D3. It must be 3, not 1 or 2. The vitamin D that they put in reconstituted milk, like the milk you buy in the grocery store, that's been homogenized and pasteurized and everything else, they put D2 in there. They don't put D3. It's the wrong form of vitamin D. If you want to build bones, we have the Super B Complete that I mentioned earlier, and that has D3 in it. But vitamin D3 can help neurological function as well.
What was the one for building bones again?
Building bones is Super Cal Plus. You don't have, the talk wasn't on building bones, so you don't have the flyer. We do have information there. Incidentally, that like this brain mood solutions we have here, we have pamphlets on about 40 different conditions. They're on the top of the shelf there when you walk in the store on the right. So you can pick up one of each if you want. And we have joint solutions, sugar solutions, cardio solutions. We have all kinds of recommendations for health problems. Okay, so let's see. We talked about brain boost, IQity, the calm day instead of taking tranquilizers. There's a number of reasons why people have these problems. They might have low blood sugar. Anyone here find if they haven't eaten for a while that they get like nervous and anxious or in a bad mood? That's usually because you have low blood sugar. And that can be corrected through nutrition and diet and nutritional supplements. You also may have food sensitivities or food allergies that affect your brain and your mood. We have an article over there with a list of symptoms by the food table, 100 different symptoms of food sensitivities or food allergies. Could be rheumatoid arthritis, could be irritable bowel syndrome or colitis or Crohn's disease, could be headaches, could be mood swings, asthma. This is something your medical doctors know nothing about. Now let me talk about the difference between a specialist and an expert. Anyone know the difference? Anyone hear me on the radio? A specialist is someone who specializes in something, but it doesn't mean they're an expert in it. So if you go to an eye doctor and he says, you know what, every time you're coming in you need stronger and stronger glasses. Does that mean they know how to reverse your dimming vision? No. But I'll tell you what I did. I took the reds, the greens, the purples, our powders, which we have samples you can taste, mixed up, and our Accutone, and our astaxanthin, and my eyesight has dramatically improved. My glasses now are much less strong than they were 5 years ago, and I'm 68. So you can actually rebuild your body, but eye doctors generally don't know that. How about arthritis doctors? Anyone here with arthritis? Arthritis? You want any medication, sir? Well, that's good. Okay, well, they'll say you're losing cartilage. Well, you can rebuild the cartilage. You take our HA Plus for 6 months, at least 3 a day, preferably more. You're going to rebuild the cartilage. You're going to provide the nutrients. How about hair loss? We have pictures against the wall there of people who were totally bald and grew their hair back. Considered incurable because you go to a specialist, they're not an expert. I was sitting on an airplane a few years ago next to a medical doctor, and we started having a conversation. I found out he was an endocrinologist, which means he's an endocrine specialist. So the thyroid is an endocrine gland. And I found that if you have underactive thyroid, one of the common symptoms is hair loss. So I started talking to him about that. He says, what do you do for that? I said, well, I give people iodine. He said, what's iodine got to do with the thyroid?
No.
I said, well, the thyroid hormone is made out of iodine. Did you ever hear of T3 and T4? He said, yeah. I said, well, that's what the 3 and 4 stand for, is the number of atoms of iodine. He said, I didn't know that. And he's an endocrinologist. So I explained to him that when we give people the iodine plus, very often they grow their hair. He didn't know that. He's a specialist. He's not an expert. Okay, I had one of my patients was floating around here. I don't know if she's still here. Retired teacher. Jamie was talking to this one woman who has back pain, and we're trying to convince her she ought to come in here for chiropractic and muscle therapy. And who shows up at this other patient of mine? She said, you know, she lives a great distance away, so she went to some other doctor, some other chiropractor, and had all kinds of treatments, electric stim, nothing helped her. And then she came here and had 2 sessions with her muscle therapist, and all her pain's gone. Specialists are not experts, okay? What would the specialists have done to Ron? They would have chopped his ear off, probably given him chemotherapy and radiation. Now, what happens when you give radiation right here by the ear? You damage the brain. What if you give chemo? How about chemo brain? Anyone here have a friend or yourself have been on chemotherapy for, now this is a neurological problem because among other things, the chemotherapy will damage your brain. In fact, at the International Health Symposium, there was a doctor talking about chemo brain. Well, the dimethylglycine I mentioned in that PowerQ 600, they have methylators to help take those toxins out of the brain. All right, so we've covered some of the bases here. What I'd like to do in the final minutes here is open up to questions. You don't have to limit yourself to neurological problems, but we've given you some ideas of things you can do. Anything that's troubling you or someone you know, we'd be happy to hear about it. Yes, sir.
Yeah, a friend of mine, his son was, he's graduated with a degree being a pharmacist,
Yeah, a friend's son is a pharmacist.
26 years old.
Mm-hmm.
He had mouth cancer, and he went at different stages at Presby. He tried
Okay,
to-
this man, 26 years old, just graduated pharmacy school and had mouth cancer.
Not a smoker,
Non-smoker.
and he had
Maybe he
a full
chewed
life.
gum. He might have chewed aspartame. I mean, see, this is the kind of questions I would ask him. Does he eat dead animals? Because there's a direct relationship between eating
Poor
animals.
diet,
Poor diet, of course.
poor dental hygiene.
Poor dental hygiene. Well, that's another thing. I rinse my mouth with peroxide twice a day. We also have the Miracle Mouth Rinse that we developed that's very healing. So did they do surgery, chemotherapy, radiation?
Yeah, they did that, but he just got past the chemo, and they're making a mass. They want to get him set up for pinpoint the radiation.
So he didn't have surgery. He did or did not have surgery?
He did have surgery.
He had surgery, chemo, and now they want to do the radiation. Well, we have a whole packet, and what we've done is we've taken Ron's picture and put it on the cover. So you'll see right behind you there's a wooden, there we go. She's giving it to you right now. That is our basic packet on cancer. Now we have some auxiliary information on milk and how that causes cancer, and meat and how that causes cancer, on that metal spindle that's right across from where the food is, you know, right over here on the other side of the room. But here's what the problem is. Most people do not have the perspective to realize that conventional medicine fails 98% of the time with cancer. We know that chemotherapy only works in a few cases. And a lot of people don't want to assume responsibility for their health. They want to abdicate that responsibility and just give it to the so-called experts, wherever this guy, your friend's son, is going. Or they'll try to run it past that doctor, and of course the doctor is going to be down on what he's not up on. This happened to a cousin of mine. Maybe I'll tell you about her. Her name was Phyllis. She had female cancers, cervical uterine cancer, and our mutual aunt, her mother's sister, kept taking her, driving her to the appointments, and my aunt called me up, Aunt Bella, she's 93 now. This was about 10 years ago. And she said, Jim, please send out information. So I sent out information to Phyllis. She takes it to the oncologist, the cancer doctor. He says, oh, this isn't going to help you. So she threw it in the trash can. Meanwhile, during that same visit, she goes for some tests in another part of the hospital, and my aunt's sitting there, and the doctor tells my aunt as soon as Phyllis leaves the room, you know, she's got like a year or two to live. We're not going to be able to help her. But he never told Phyllis that. So he poo-pooed what worked for Ron, right? You saw the physical proof. But he never told my cousin that what he was going to do was totally useless. So what people need to do, the first question they need to ask, and hopefully you'll get a real answer, an honest answer, is with the disease I have and the treatment you're recommending, am I going to be alive in 5 years? What are the chances of me being alive in 5 years? Have you ever cured anyone with this or whatever? Okay? And I don't think the prognosis is very good for that young man. Now, having taken chemotherapy has further toxified his body and made him more acidic and more damaged his vital organs like the liver and the kidneys. So he's in worse shape now than he was before they started those barbaric treatments.
His teeth is already starting to cave into him.
Yeah, his teeth are going bad. Well, the thing is you can't poison people to health. It just doesn't work that way, folks. So I try to reach him. You know, there's a wonderful video that's linked on our website, drweiner.com. It's called Cancer, the Forbidden Cures. If you go on our website, drweiner.com, you go to the upper right-hand corner, click on Media, and then there's a drop-down, click on Videos, and it's the first video. We also have an interview with my good friend Charlotte Gerson, who's going to be 93 this month. She's the daughter of Dr. Max Gerson, who was the originator in using nutrition for healing cancer. We've improved upon his method because he died 55 years ago. There's a lot of supplements that I think are critical, and that's what Ron was on. We had him on some supplements and colloidal silver, things that I think speed up the process of healing. But he needs to investigate this, or I don't think the prognosis is very good, and he probably never even asked them. Other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Neuropathy. What would you recommend?
Okay,
for that?
why do you have neuropathy or someone else?
No, I do in my feet, yeah.
Okay, are you diabetic?
I'm not diabetic.
Not
but
diabetic, but has neuropathy. Do you drink coffee, tea, or soda pop?
Not that much, but I
Well, not that much of what?
Of soda or pop. I don't drink pop or tea, maybe 1 cup a day. But see, I had back surgery, and they say that kind of messes up your nerves in your
Yeah,
back.
back surgery. Well, back surgery fails 90% of the time. And many people have 3 and 4 and 5 surgeries. I would recommend our Neuropathies. N-E-U-R-O. You're not writing this down.
I don't have a pen, sorry.
Neuropathies. N-E-U-R-O. Neuro.
any
Neuropath, like neuropathy. It's Neuropath-ease. I'd recommend 3 a day. The other thing is our Super B Complete. I'd take probably 2 of those a day. Neuropath Ease, Neuropathe-EASE, Neuropath Ease, and also the Super B Complete. And stay off the coffee. I would stay off the coffee, tea, and soda pop entirely. I've told this story many times before. I was drinking tea at a Chinese restaurant a couple times a month and started getting hand tremors. Just from tea a couple times a month, so I would cut it out. Other questions? Yes. Asthma, do you drink milk or cheese or ice cream, or you're off dairy? We have a product called Airmax, A-I-R-M-A-X-X. It's a chewable. We also have a product called Asthma X. Also, a lot of people with asthma have what we call a hiatal hernia. Are you on antacids at all? But you may have inhalants that are triggering it, like dust or mold or grass, and we have allergy treatments that can improve or correct that. So you ought to make an appointment. We do more than just give away free information here and doing free radio that costs me $200,000 a year and giving away $7,000 worth of free food every time we do one of the things. We actually help people by having them come in and see us. And I have treatments that have corrected thousands of people of food and environmental allergies. So we need to figure out what your triggers are. Do you wash your clothes with commercial detergents, fabric softeners, anti-cling sheets? You need to get our BioPack. That's I start getting asthma-like symptoms if I'm on a pillowcase that's been washed with those commercial products. Okay? So I would stop using commercial detergents, fabric softeners, anti-cling sheets, get our BioPack. Asthma X, you didn't write this down. Asthma X, you can remember Asthma X and the Air Max. And then make an appointment. Stay off dairy. Other questions? Yes, Ron.
Yes, in the church I attend, a good friend of mine, he has a daughter that's 23, and she had this abdominal problem. And
All right, so his friend's daughter, 23, has some sort of abdominal problem. Yeah?
okay, and she can't even hold water down.
She can't even hold water down. Well, she needs to come in here so we can figure out what's going on.
The doctors now, or hospitals and that, and they don't know what.
Well, they don't know because they don't know what to look for. If you don't know what to look for, you're not going to find it. You know, the analogy I give, Ron, you've probably heard this on the radio, is if I gave you a book written in a foreign language that you don't know. Let's say I gave you a book in Romanian or Russian. Russian actually has a different alphabet. And let's say there were misspelled words and grammatical mistakes in there, and you may be pretty good with English, but you don't know any Russian or Romanian. You're not going to be able to find what's wrong there because you don't know what to look for. And that's the analogy I give. This is a foreign language to medical doctors. Looking for causation is a foreign language. It's not part of their medical model. They're not taught to look for illnesses by and large. I mean, there's a few techniques, x-rays, CAT scans, and they're maybe looking for a tumor or broken bone. But when you have, let's say, intestinal issues, if that's what this is, you might have parasites, you might have fungal infection, you might have food allergies, there could be all kinds of things going on there. They wouldn't know to look for those things. So if they're open to our help, are they within 50-mile drive or 100-mile drive of here?
Yeah, they live over in West Midland.
West Midland, well, I mean, they're like half an hour away. Talk to them, that's all I can say. We could even Xerox some testimonials of people that had similar issues because I don't think they're going to get anywhere. And of course, some of those drugs are very dangerous. Acetol, Pentasa, these drugs can ruin your kidneys. You may end up on dialysis, and they're just treating symptoms. Other questions? Yes, sir. Lymph cancer, the single best thing besides a vegetarian diet is the asparagus. And we have asparagus in capsules here. And people are eating asparagus every day, but there's a whole diet. Who has the lymph cancer? You do. Ma'am, can you give him another one of those packets? Thank you. You should talk to Ron. Did you see the big ear tumor he had? It's gone. Okay, and what was that? October, November, December, January, February. It's been 5 months now, and the thing's totally gone. But I'll tell you what was exciting when he came in here. Exactly 2 months to the day. He came in December 2nd when we had the winter event, and the thing was dramatically better. I mean, it was dramatically better in 59 days. I'll be happy to talk with you after the talk. All right, I've got a few more minutes. Yeah, you have a question.
My mother has compression fractures in her back.
Mother has compression fractures. I would get her on the SuperCal Plus. Now, the trouble is it's not going to come back. It's been smashed down. But we got to strengthen her bones. Now, the unfortunate thing is a lot of people are put on Fosamax, Avista, Reclass, Beniva. We have an article on that. They actually cause bone fractures because what they do is stop the breakdown of old bone, and then you end up with all old bone. She needs to build new bone, and I'd get her on the SuperCal Plus 6 a day.
What about the pain? For the pain?
The pain, we do have X-Flame and Inflame. Do you know if she's on any kind of blood thinners?
Warfare.
Okay, if she's on warfarin, then we would recommend the Inflame. Inflame. Yes, sir.
High blood pressure.
High blood pressure? Who's this? Well, we have to talk about, is it really high blood pressure because they've artificially lowered the numbers to sell more drugs. What were your readings before medication?
Diastolic was 100, sometimes 100.
That's the bottom number.
Yeah.
What was the systolic?
About 100.
Okay, he was 150 over 100, so the bottom number's slightly high. Should be like 160 over 90 or lower. Do you drink coffee, tea, or soda pop?
Cup a day.
1 cup, that's 1 cup too many for you. Okay? Do you eat a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables?
Some, maybe not a whole lot.
Yeah, you may not be getting enough minerals because minerals help relax the arteries. The arteries actually have, the walls of the arteries have muscles. And if they don't get enough minerals, they constrict, and that raises the blood pressure. So caffeine constricts those arteries. And if you're drinking coffee, tea, or soda pop, that washes out the minerals. So you probably want to get on the frontier minerals. You may want to get on the omega-3D. We gave you a thing on that. We have the 7 flowers. So we have the omega-3D, 7 flowers, maybe the magnesium complete, maybe the frontier minerals, and I'd get off the coffee. Also, believe it or not, misaligned vertebrae can contribute to that. This is something a lot of doctors don't understand. The nerves that run your body, run your organs, actually come out of your neck and back. And if they're misaligned, there's a lot of people get urinary bladder incontinence. We've corrected that through adjustments, high blood pressure, a lot of dysfunctional things that actually are because there's nerve interference because you have misaligned vertebrae. Okay, one more question, and then I'll be in the back if you want to talk to me. Yes, Kathy?
Is the bottom number of blood pressure 58 too low?
58, well, that's borderline low, yeah, for the diastolic. Some people have low blood pressure, and then they need help with their adrenals. And so we have a product called Adrenamax. All right, well, thanks a lot. Keep in mind our website, drweiner.com. We have a lot of great videos on there, over 60 videos. Keep in mind the Sweet Misery video on YouTube. Thanks for listening, and God bless you.
Yeah.